All right, so thank you for tuning in to Chomp at the Bit. I'm Kyle Edwards, of course. And as we know, it's the weekend. And we know we have games on Sunday. So as I do every week, I am going to go through the slate of games and, give you my picks for each game, of course. But I do want to say that I'm going to try to do this a little bit different this episode and probably for the rest of the season, because I realized that the episodes before this, when I did these and as well as the weekend review, the episodes were getting up there hour and a half, and I feel like that's probably a lot. So I'm gonna try to dial it back by changing the way that I do it. That way I'm hoping I can keep it to 25, 30, 35 minutes at the max. So before, I went through each matchup, talked about each matchup, and then gave my pick and so on and so on. Instead, what I'm going to do, I will give the picks, and I haven't actually decided on that because I do tweet out my picks before the games kick off on Sundays. So if you follow me at Chompin' Podcast, you will see my picks there. But I guess I should say them on the episode as well, just in case you aren't following me and you'll know where I am coming from on these picks. So we'll do that. But instead of going through each matchup and breaking it down, instead I'm going to take the matchups on a whole and just kind of give you the 5. First, I was thinking 3, but I think I might go 5 questions that I'm looking to get an answer for when watching the games. So that kind of lets you know where the key matchups are and the possible, impact of the biggest games of the week. So I think by doing that, probably gives you a better insight into the matchups that really matter each week, instead of talking about all of them. Because I could break down, Jaguars Texans, for example, but grand scheme of things, that matchup doesn't really mean much. So I think for the sake of this podcast and for it to be, I think, the most effective, focusing on the more important games is what I'm saying. So, like I said, I'm going to try it out in this episode. Definitely give me some feedback. Let me know if you like this format better, or if you'd like me to go back to the, full breakdown of the whole week. And then when we get to the weekend review episode, I'll let you know what changes I'm going to do there. So that's how I'm going to go about it. Like I said, try it out for the rest of the season. If it works, this is what I'll go with from now on. But before I get into that, of course, I have to say, if you are new to the podcast, appreciate you tuning in. Hopefully you enjoy it. And, tell somebody else about it. Bring them on over as I continue to try to get this community to grow. And also increase the amount of interactive, communication that we have. So, like I said, Twitter, follow me there. And we can, go back and forth on different sports topics. You can like the Facebook page, Chomping at the Bit. Do the same there, leave a comment. And then wherever you listen to this podcast right now, there's a section for you to leave a review and a comment. Definitely do that as well. So now that all that is out of the way, let's go ahead and look at week 13 in the NFL. Like I say, every week, kind of a shock that it's week 13, but hey, this is where we are. So, looking at the week slate, there are some interesting matchups that are out there, and it's like I said, the first question that I'm going to be looking to get an answer for is looking at the NFC playoff picture and which one of these 5-win teams that are below 500 and for the most part are seen as kind of mediocre or flawed or not that good, whatever adjective you attach to these teams, which one of these teams emerges from the pack and tries to take advantage of that number 7 spot, because right now it's a spot up for grabs, because the Niners are 6th at 6-5, and I feel like they're just going to continue to improve. So I'm expecting them to take a playoff spot with the Rams at 5. I just think there's too much talent there for them to fall out. So we have that whole group of 5-win teams fighting for one playoff spot. And that's your Washington football team, Minnesota Vikings, Atlanta Falcons, Philadelphia Eagles, Carolina Panthers, and New Orleans Saints. Which one of those teams will capture the 7 seed? So looking at those teams, Washington, has a matchup against the Raiders. Tough matchup there, but grand scheme of things, it's a game that they're going to have to try to find a way to win, because, at a certain point, you're just running out of weeks to give away games if you're really serious about being a playoff team. So Washington has a tough matchup. Minnesota's playing the Lions, so that should be an absolute win for the Vikings. And now we have the Falcons, who have a very, very tough game against the Buccaneers. And we know that the Bucs are a really good team. So, it's not looking good for the Falcons. But if they want to be a playoff team, they're going to have a good showing and try to get the upset there. The Eagles are facing the Jets. Now, the Eagles will not have... Well, I can't say that because the game time decision, I believe earlier in the day they said Hurts was looking like he was going to be out, but now it says that he's going to make a game time decision with the ankle. And if Hurts can't go for the Eagles, we get Minshew Mania, which I almost forgot Gardner Minshew was with the Eagles. So if Hurts can't go, Minshew will play. And even though his teams, when he was with the Jaguars, weren't that good, Minshew is a serviceable quarterback. So if Minshew plays, I don't change my expectations that the Eagles should beat the Jets. And they need to, especially after last week where they somehow found a way to lose that game against the Giants. And that was definitely the game that they needed to have and should have won. But hey, you brush that off. It's a new week. It's another big game for you. Go out there and get that win against the Jets. The Panthers are on the bye, so they can't really change their standing this week. And the Saints we already saw play Thursday night. So who from that group emerges? That's the first thing I'm looking for this week. Second thing that I'm looking for is with the Bengals playing the Chargers. And this kind of works into the AFC playoff picture. But 2 second-year quarterbacks, Joe Burrow and Justin Herbert, going up against each other. Hopefully this could become a little bit of a rivalry that the AFC gets to enjoy for years to come. But I want to see what the Bengals... Yes, we've seen them now sweep the season series with the Steelers. But now you're getting a little bit of a upgrade in opposition with the Chargers, because we know that the Steelers... Let's be honest, the Steelers are not a good team right now. But with the Chargers, it's a step up in terms of quarterback play. Herbert's better than Roethlisberger right now. And then I think overall talent of the team, the Chargers are a better team. than the Steelers. So I want to see what the Bengals look like going up against the Chargers. And if they are able to play as well as I think they can, then they should have a good showing. But, if the Chargers go up against them and, Herbert just carving up the defense, Eckler's finding running room, the Chargers defense, which is pretty good, if they're able to get pressure on Joe Burrow and really stifle him in that offense, then I don't know how optimistic I should be for the Bengals going forward, because right now I'm on the Bengals bandwagon as a playoff team because they played so well early in the year, and then that game last week against the Steelers, they showed a lot where they fully dominated a team that wasn't on their level. And that's something you have to do throughout the course of the year if you want to be a serious playoff contender. So if they want to wipe away all those previous years of, awful seasons and, organization being looked at as kind of a joke, then this is, their best opportunity to make a playoffs. And I mean, they don't have to, go to the Super Bowl or anything, but I think by getting to the playoffs will definitely be a good jumping off point for the next couple of years, where Pittsburgh, it looks like, could be going into a little bit of a, not necessarily a rebuild per se, but maybe a little bit of a reshaping of their talent. Cleveland, we'll have to see. There could be changes coming for that team. Baltimore's kind of set as what they are. So Cincinnati, the next few years, has the opportunity to elevate themselves to, second best team in the division. And who knows? Maybe they can overtake Baltimore. Then for the Chargers are locked in with a bunch of 6-win teams vying for the 7th spot right now. And it's, Chargers, Raiders, Broncos, Colts, and even the Browns, who are 6-6. So, and it's kind of the same question from the NFC. Which one of these teams can make a move to solidify themselves as playoff contenders? And luckily for the Chargers, they're going up against a team in the Bengals that sit in front of them in the playoff ranking right now. They're a game behind, so they get this. They can have an even record with the Bengals. But they can't, give up too many games because, like I said, those teams I just named are right there, ready to pounce if they do lose to Cincinnati. So that's my second question I'm hoping to get an answer to. The third thing I'm looking for is sticking in the same division with the Chargers. The Broncos and the Chiefs have a game on, what's that, Sunday night? Yeah, that's the Sunday night game. So all eyes will be on that matchup, and I want to see if Denver can not necessarily shock the world, but pull the upset against the Kansas City team that has looked better over the past few weeks. We're starting to see a little bit more of, consistency, fluidity to the Chiefs offense, although they still have their moments where they struggle and they just look like that they're missing some piece. But, this opportunity for Denver, who got a big win last week, are now 6-5, sit a game behind Kansas City, like the rest of the division does. But at least for Denver, they have their shot at Kansas City to try to knock them down and get into a tie with them. And for Denver, we know defensively, they can play pretty good defense. Now, this game, I believe, is in Kansas City. So, Denver's not going to have the the added benefit of their home crowd up in I believe it's still called Mile High Stadium. It's probably not. I feel like it was called Mile High Stadium years ago. But you know what I'm saying. Of the home crowd in Denver. And as we've seen with this Kansas City team, they still have their lulls. So can Denver take advantage of that, cause some turnovers, because we've seen Patrick Mahomes throw some interceptions, and be able to get some takeaways. Then once they get the ball, Bridgewater is going to have to play mistake-free. You would like to see them establish Melvin Gordon in the running game, play keep away with the offense, put points on the board, and then see if they can pull one out. I think defensively they are good enough to give Kansas City some trouble. But like I said, what I'm looking to see here is, can Bridgewater in a big game on primetime get the offense up and down the field enough to not only keep the game close, but give themselves a chance to win it later in the game. And like I said, same thing with Kansas City. Just want to see if they can, because we know the names on offense. So can they put it all together and have a vintage showing, even though this group's only been together for like 3 years or whatever, but look like the team that everybody was picking as a Super Bowl favorite earlier, before the season started. Due to their recent play, yes, they've entered back into the Super Bowl conversation, but this is going to be a big game for both teams, looking to possibly stake their claim as the best team in the AFC West. And all things considered, by the end of the day, we could technically have all 4 teams in the AFC West being 7 and 5, which, would be crazy to see, but it's a possibility. So what was that? That was question 3, or the third thing I'm looking for. So the fourth that I'm looking for is the Monday night game with the Patriots and the Bills. Now, it's a big game for both teams, like the other matches I've talked about so far. For this one, divisional game, the Bills, we know, had a seemingly comfortable lead in the division early in the year. Then they hit an inconsistent patch that just happened to coincide with the Patriots going on their 6-game run. So Buffalo now finds themselves behind New England, with this being an opportunity to regain the lead in the division. We'll have to see, because the weather is supposed to be pretty bad. I think best case scenario is it's just rain. Worst case scenario, I think it's like 80% chance of snow. And it could be a rain, snow mix or whatever. So the conditions won't be ideal. And with New England, with the rookie quarterback, Mac Jones, be his first chance to show everybody what he can do where weather is now an element. We know that he played at Alabama, didn't really have a lot of games of cold weather and adverse conditions. He grew up in Jacksonville, so we know he really didn't see it then. But now, because we kind of saw a little bit of it last week with the Tennessee game, and even that game, it was in the low to mid 30s. So not too crazy in terms of the weather in New England, late November, early December. And he did enough to get through that game. But now we'll see in a game where, like I said, rain, snow, whatever, I'm pretty sure New England's going to try to rely on their run game because run game travels in any weather. But if Buffalo keys in on that, can take it away, then can Mac Jones make enough plays in a condition where it won't be the easiest to throw in, but can he still be as accurate as he's been so far this year? Like I said, a lot of variables that will be in play in this game, but Belichick and Daniels and those guys are going to put Mac Jones in a situation where there's going to come a time at some point in this game where he's going to have to make a play. And if he does that, then that can show the rest of the league that he's ready to play playoff football in New England or Buffalo or like Kansas City, one of these cities where weather in the playoffs can be an issue. So, big game for Mac Jones to not only show all of us what he's about, but I think more importantly to tell himself and his fellow players on offense that he's a guy that can't be relied upon even this early in his career in a possible playoff situation, and not even playoff situation, because as you get down to the end of the regular season, those games become bigger and bigger and turn into mini playoff atmospheres. So, and we know that Belichick is a big proponent of you have to play your best football after Thanksgiving. Well, here we are. We're into the first Sunday in December. So, this is when Belichick's going to want him to play his best. And I'm interested to see how he looks. And then for Buffalo, this will be a chance to wipe out all of that, inconsistent play that led to them losing the division lead in their first of the 2 matches against New England that will happen here next 4 weeks or so. Try to reestablish themselves as the top dog in the division, because we saw that they were the team that won it last year, but we know that New England had Cam Newton, so they were a little bit compromised, and Buffalo was not planning on it being just a one-time deal. Well, this will be their opportunity to play well against maybe the most surprising team in the AFC. It would be a big win for them and a chance for them to move back up into one of the playoff spots where they could look to have a home game in the first round of the playoffs. And then the last question I'm looking to get an answer to, and this one just recently came up to me because I don't know if any of you heard the report that Ben Roethlisberger was supposedly going to retire at the end of the year, and he's told some Steelers players and management and all this kind of stuff or whatever. Well, later on, I saw a report from a source that said, no, Big Ben isn't looking to retire, but he was basically telling Steelers people that he's going to be looking to go elsewhere after the year. And he has, and once again, according to the report, he has a full intention of being a starter somewhere. So now, the fifth thing I'm looking for is the matchup between the Ravens and the Steelers. Probably wasn't a matchup I was thinking much about, but now after hearing this report, I am fully looking to see how this game goes because, well, one for the Ravens, they're sitting there as the number 1 seed in the AFC. So this is a game against haven't completely hit rock bottom in the Steelers, but they're trending towards falling in the standings, we'll say. So this will be an opportunity for the Ravens to kind of kick the Steelers while they're down. So they can further cement themselves as the number 1 seed. They can knock down in a divisional rival. And also just want to see Baltimore play better. The last 4 or 5 weeks, they've been up and down, and even on the ups, haven't exactly been as high as the downs. The offense has looked out of sync recently. Lamar Jackson's 6 touchdowns, I think 7 interceptions in his past 3-4 starts. I'm not counting the one with Chicago because he didn't play in that one, but around that game, he was like 6 touchdowns, 7 interceptions, which is not good. And I consistently say that I want to see Lamar Jackson make more plays with his arm. I already know he can scramble around, he can keep plays alive, he can outrun most people on defense. So I get that aspect of his game. But if Baltimore wants to win a Super Bowl, I don't think they can do that solely on his legs. Because come playoff time, you're usually playing against better teams, which means better defenses, means better coaches who are able to put their teams in a position to stop what Lamar wants to do in terms of running. Then if that's taken away from him, I need to see that he has the ability to adapt and create plays in the passing game. Now for Pittsburgh, it's more of, so Big Ben plans on leaving and wants to be a starter somewhere. So now we have to look at this as the rest of this Steelers season is Big Ben auditioning for the other teams in the NFL. Because to me right now, if you told me I was running a team, I don't even care what team you give me. Let's say, well, I was supposed to say the Jags, but Jags have a quarterback. Okay, so I'm the Lions. It's looking like I'm going to go winless this year. I have Jared Goff, quarterback I'm not completely sold on or, married to or anything like that. So if a quarterback came along, I'm fully aware that I can just let Goff go and bring somebody new in. Well, if you present me with re-signing Goff or whatever, or extending Goff, or picking up Ben Roethlisberger, one, I would probably say, well, bye to both of you, and I'll just take a young quarterback in the draft. Even if this draft is supposedly a weak quarterback draft, I'll take my chances. Because what I've seen from Ben the past 2, 3, 4 years, a guy that's on a serious decline. Maybe he hasn't fully grasped that, but when you watch the games, you can see it. And to me, Ben, if he does move on, now once again, maybe after these games he changes his mind, just retires or whatever. But in order for Big Ben to be successful at this point in his career, he would have to go to a team where, they have a great running game, they have a solid offensive line. Defensively, they would have to be near the top in the league. Because my main point is, Ben is to the point where if you're going to win with him, he has to just be along for the ride. You can't really put him in the driver's seat too much and just, pull away and let him drive the bus. Because more often than not, you'll find yourselves, at the side of the road wondering what's going on. So, like I said, I'm now fascinating with the Steelers season to see if Big Ben can change my mind and what I think of him. Because right now, I think he's a guy who should just retire at the end of the year and just move on to whatever his next endeavor is. Because to me, he's not a starting level quarterback. And I'm pretty sure at this point in his career, he's not looking to hang on somewhere as a backup. So, but those are the 5 questions or things that I'm looking for that I'm hoping to find an answer to. So when we go ahead and do the review of this week, we'll circle back to these questions I had and see if I've gotten a clear answer to any of them, or at least a clearer picture to any of them. But yeah, so that's basically how I'm gonna handle these previews and weekend reviews from here on out. But so before we get out of here, let me run down my picks real quick. It's a 14 game slate this week. We have 4 teams on a bye. The Titans, Browns, Panthers, and the Packers are on a bye this week. And we're coming down to the end of bye weeks. I think next week might be the last set of bye weeks. So after that, it's going to be full slate going on. But so quickly, I'm taking the Buccaneers minus 10.5 over the Falcons. Buccaneers are just clearly a better team. I'm going with the Cardinals minus 7.5 over the Bears. Bears are in disarray. Taking the Bengals minus 3 over the Chargers. Tough decision. Like both quarterbacks, but I'm going with the Bengals there. The Vikings minus 7.5 over the Lions. It's the Lions. I mean, you have to do it, Minnesota. Taking the Giants plus 6 over the Dolphins. I know Giants don't have Daniel Jones, but I just have a feeling Mike Glennon will be able to keep the game close. Taking the Eagles minus 7 over the Jets. That's even with Hurts playing or not. Might be more inclined if Hurts played to go with the Jets plus 7, but I think he or Minshew can get it done. I'm taking the Colts minus 10 over the Texans. It's the Texans, and the Colts beat up on bad teams, so I'm expecting that here. Raiders minus 1.5 over Washington football team. I could go either way with this one. I just think the Raiders are more talented. We have going Rams minus 13 over the Jaguars. I'm looking at this as a game the Rams get back. They get right. So, taking the Rams. Ravens minus 4.5 over the Steelers. As I mentioned, Steelers aren't a good team right now. But I think the Ravens should be able to control the game. Taking the 49ers minus 3 over the Seahawks. The Seahawks disarray. Clear disconnect between Russell Wilson, Pete Carroll. It's so desperate they got Adrian Peterson. Niners are getting healthy. They're better. Broncos plus 9.5. The Chiefs. I think the Broncos defense will do enough to keep the game close. And I think it's going to turn out to be a really good game Sunday night. And then finally, I'm taking the Patriots plus 2.5. Bills. And I'm expecting to be surprised by Mac Monday night. I think he's going to have a surprisingly effective game, even with the weather elements. So, those are my picks for Week 13. I gave you the 5 things I'm looking for to get an answer to at the end of this week. So, yeah, there we go. And, so appreciate you tuning in. Hopefully you enjoyed the episode. Like I said, I'm going to try to do shorter episodes, the hour and a half stuff. I think I'm done with that. I'm going to keep it around this time. I think it's perfect. So, quick thing. Next episode I'm going to do looking at college football because championship Saturday has come and gone. I'm going to take a look at not everything, but take a look at the big impact of the day, where the playoffs stand before the final, playoff rankings are released, or if they're released before I get a chance to record. We'll analyze all that, but we're going to talk college football next episode. So appreciate you tuning in. Hope you have a great day. Be safe out there. God bless, and I'll catch you in the next episode. All right, I'm out.